Hi, welcome back to Own Your Yes. I'm Dr. Phyllis, your coach, and today is episode 80. Episode 80. Like one of my former pastors used to say, Amen for myself. So I'm going to say amen for myself and praise God. Episode 80. 80 episodes. Yes, they've gone through different shapes, forms, focus. Yet we've made 80 episodes. And in today's episode, I wanted to kind of build upon what I shared with you last week in relationships over roles. Yet today, I want to talk about authenticity through transparency and vulnerability. You may have noticed last week, I was just emotionally and spiritually full. I was just so full from last week's retirement's culminating event. Yet also in honesty, I was somewhat really fatigued too. Full in another way because I've recently been doing some work at my parents' home and it's we've had to do some major repairs because it's an older house. And as many of you know, there's always something unexpected that comes up with houses. And so there's just been a lot of navigation, a lot of coordinating things. And when our parents pass, there just can be a lot going on. So there just had been a lot going on. Um, in the midst of work, transitioning out of full-time work, and getting ready for my retirement. I had had a wonderful celebration with my frontline team members back in February and February 13th, and was wonderful. And I don't remember if I shared with you, but it was just I just couldn't believe it that so many team members came out. It was storming that night and it was just wonderful to spend time together and just I just love upon them. Um so shout out to you all. And I had then started all this work at my parents' house. And then, yet in the midst of it, getting ready for this culminating retirement event. And I want to share with you, sis, something that I felt in my own spirit. And I really encourage you. I decided in my mind, and this was growth from how I probably would have navigated things years ago. I knew in my spirit that I had worked hard through the mercy and grace of God, his blessings, to arrive at this moment. So I deserve to have a wonderful experience. And I was not going to allow anything to derail that. And it was kind of symbolic because where we had the retirement celebration, I had asked to have it there because it was the same event center that my husband and I had had our wedding reception going on 34 years ago. And then that was in the upstairs ballroom um, or meeting room. And down below where we had the retirement celebration, we had had my mom's retirement back in 1995 when I was pregnant with my daughter. We later had my parents, I want to say it was their 40th wedding anniversary in that room. And we also had my mom's 80th birthday in that room celebration. And so it was so symbolic that I felt it just appropriate that I have my retirement celebration there. And it just meant a lot. And the reason I share that is on the day of my wedding, it was wonderful. Yeah, it was stressful. And that's why I always encourage every bride to make a decision. You're going to enjoy your day and do not let anybody disrupt that. Because on my wedding day, it was wonderful. Um, my mom made my wedding dress. It was beautiful. My mom's one of those Southern skillful, in addition to being a awesome woman and educator, she was a phenomenal seamstress. So she did the beading on the wedding dress, she made it, the beading on my shoes, she made my veil. It was wonderful. But as you know, there can be some kinks in the middle of the course of the day, and there were some kinks that I'll just say that took away some of the shine from my wedding reception. Um, and years later, I can definitely look for the positive, but I'm gonna be honest. There were some kinks that took away some of the shine. And as I said, that's why I always encourage, um, be it for your wedding or another special event, you have to make the decision that you're going to enjoy it. And that's what I did for my retirement. I put everybody in my village, so to speak, on notice that hey, I am going to enjoy this day. I'm going to be present for every moment. I was teasing my friend who took the lead and encouraged me to do this and planned it, that I did not want to walk in some grand entrance. That was not me. I wanted to greet people as they came in. I wanted to love upon them as soon as they arrived, thank them for coming. I wanted to experience everything. I didn't want to be sequestered somewhere waiting to make this entrance. And really, that's the foundation for today's episode. When we're talking about being authentic, um, owning your yes, as you know, that's my main mantra or theme, to own your yes, living life with intention. And I want to now kind of really build upon what I started last week in talking about the importance of relationships over roles. And I shared with you last week how I was just so excited to look among those in attendance to see that everyone in the room that was there was because I wanted them there. It wasn't because I felt beholden or they had to be there. Like I felt like I was going to hurt someone's feelings if they weren't invited. They were there because I wanted them there. And also that I had a relationship with everyone. It wasn't that they were there because I was their leader or um, I was there on the ministerial staff or I was on the board of directors. I had a relationship and I have a relationship with everyone or my family or a friend. And this was monumental because not so many years ago, I struggled to be authentic and to be vulnerable and to be transparent. I had so many narratives in my brain. Some of it was just my perceptions or misperceptions of things over my own childhood and going through school and, going through the process of becoming a doctor. And there were also probably built upon it hurts and disappointments that I had felt over the years in dealing with people, um, not totally knowing where I fit in. There was a time when, coming along, and we're talking about really back in the 70s. And there were many circles as I was going more into my academic pursuits, that I was one of the few in my circle in a lot of different levels, be it race, be it um, gender, more, and also just the normal navigation of going through childhood, adolescence, trying to figure out where, fit. And also, as you've heard me say, embracing the fact that at my core, I'm an introvert. I love being around people. Don't get me, I love being around people. I love connecting with people. I think that is what I have enjoyed the most about coaching, about podcasting and talking with you all, about ministry, about being a physician, is that human connection. Yet I also have valued time alone and connecting with God, and being able to process my thoughts. And for a long time, as you've heard me talk about, when you get in that autopilot way of navigating life, of sucking things up, and you're, running from here to there, that you just don't take time to pause and decompress, and to um, really evaluate your thoughts. You just get on this, I call it a treadmill, others call it a hamster wheel. It's autopilot leading to depletion. You just keep going, 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 but you never stop. And so I share all that because there was a point in time in which I was so caught up in the doing and striving and trying to get to some destination that was really kind of vague. I thought I knew what I was trying to, where I was trying to get to, but nothing seemed to really fill that void. And I worried because of past disappointments, of past hurts, or misperception of leadership, or supervision, that you get close but don't get too close. And um, you know, do I share? Do I not share? That I was just all over the place. And again, you get so caught up in doing and just going through life that I wasn't really engaging the most important people around me. And I do think that contributes to the feeling of depletion, because when you're not engaging with important people, and you're so caught up in the next thing, that you're not where your feet are. Your mind is already 10 steps ahead, or where you have to go. You're not engaging, that you're not getting refreshed. You're not getting refueled by that connection or being in that situation, to the point that I know there was a time that I lost connection with my identity. Like, who was I? Who really was I? Am I? And had built this wall around myself, so that I was fearful about sharing who I was. I had lost the ability to communicate with who I am and what's most important to me, because it became a thing, like, if I admit that something hurts me, or I admit that something disappointed, if I said it out loud, somehow that spoke to more my weakness, or my failing, or my shortcoming, instead of saying something out loud to release it, but also which allows other people around me to embrace their humanity. And I think also, when I was not able to communicate, what my experience had been, what I was feeling, w- my opportunities for growth, then it just added to potentially this cycle of misperceptions in, be it my kids or other people who look up to me, because they thought I got it going on. I'm just totally perfect. I got it all set. I know everywhere. I know the direction I'm going. I've got it all together because I'm not sharing. And what happens, as I mentioned, is those that are around, like that were around me, thought I had it going on, just like some of the key role models that I had, be it at work or be it in my personal circles, I thought they had it going on, especially women, because we feel like we have to continually perpetuate this facade that we got it going on, that we're superwoman. And we wear this perfection, or this, this, I call it a misperception of resilience. We wear it like a badge of honor instead of saying, yes, our resilience, our ability to continue is our our gift. I won't say superpower, it's our gift from God. But being resilient doesn't mean that we're not human and we don't have fears or doubts or concerns or disappointments. It just means that we gather up the tools that we have, be them spiritually, emotionally, physically, to keep going. And hopefully, with that, it also means that we grow as we're going forward. And as I look at where I am now, and as I looked last week at my culminating retirement event and thinking back to the events that I had had with the other women physicians who were retiring. We had that back in the fall. As I mentioned, I had with my several of my frontline team members about a month ago, to last week with the culminating event. I can see now where I'm pretty darn comfortable in my skin. And that came from doing the work, praying to God to unlock the key to my spirit, my heart, and my ability to just be open to the point that I could be authentically me. And I really then have made it my mission to help other women get in touch with their authenticity through being transparent and being vulnerable, that it's okay. And I'm going to tell you, sis, once I did the work and once I was willing to take the first steps to share, yeah, it was scary. But there was a time that I really needed to share. Some things were happening that I know God has my back. Yet I wanted to have other women that I could reach out and that get a hug or hold me up. We could talk about it. And what I found, sis, I wasn't alone. There were several women going through the same thing I was going through. And they so appreciated me sharing and helping them know, no, I'm not perfect. And then we could become a support system for each other. Because as resilient, busy, overextended Christian women, it can feel very lonely at times because of all the things going on in our mind and not knowing who you can trust and talk to. And you do have to be careful. You can't talk to everybody because not everybody is in your corner. Sometimes there are people who are trying to find information so they can try to undermine you. Yet it's important to have someone. And I know that's one of the driving forces why I'm so excited about being a coach and sharing my experiences by being authentic, being transparent, being vulnerable to open the door for other women so that they can tap back in that and let them know, like I want you to know that it's never too late to reconnect with what drives you, what brings you joy, what brings you excitement. Because I think it's a normal part of life that often we've been doing the same things. We've been striving and working and taking care of everybody else. But there's a point at which that it's very appropriate that we need to take a pause and look at who God has created us to be, aside from being the caregiver, being the worker, being the manager, being the supervisor. He's created you for a purpose. And there's a point at which you have to get off that treadmill. You have to face those feelings of emptiness and depletion where you feel like you're just giving energy out and nothing is coming in, and everything that you are trying to go for just is no longer, even temporarily, fulfilling that void. And usually that's the sign that God is calling you to do something else. It could be in addition to what you're doing, or it could be instead of what you're doing. And because I've done the the work with through the grace of God to face I'll say my demons. We ain't not gonna give that other spirit any power, but to face, I won't even say demons. I don't want to even him to even think he getting any credit. But to face things we've done well or faced maybe decisions that would have been nice to make different, to do differently, but nothing's wasted, sis. It's really just facing our journey. That's really what it is. It's facing our journey and being able sometimes to cry as we face things, as we face the narratives, we confront the narratives that we are able to celebrate the things that we've done well. And as I said, confront the things that, maybe we jumped in impulsively, or maybe we didn't spend as much time as we wish we spent doing this or being with this person. Or I'm going to be honest, sometimes even as busy moms, busy stepmoms, or being responsible women role models, we miss out on some of the fun stuff because we're so worried about, understandably so, taking care of the necessities. But even that, it's never too late to make peace with that, learn from it, and go forward. And I can tell you, when you make that shift and you start really living intentionally, Does it change everything that you're having to do? No, you may be dealing with some of the same things, but yet your mindset, your approach is different. Your intention is set. So you're doing things intentionally so that even in the craziness, in the chaos, you are living, you're engaged, you're present, and you know why you're doing it. It makes such a big difference. Such a big difference. And when you let go of this guard that you've had, this armor that you've had to build up because of disappointments in the past and just people's mess. I'm just gonna say it, people's mess. Or you having to take on responsibilities of other people. But when you can get to the point where you can face it and know that it's okay, that it facing this does not make you any less special or any less resilient. It just allows you to get off of that treadmill and start refreshing and refueling and filling up with some good stuff through intention. And you stop looking as much for validation from outside of yourself. And even when you are participating and fulfilling a role, you're able to put it into its proper perspective so that you're not the role, you're filling a role. And it is just such a wonderful, freeing experience to get to that part. And that's what I want to do as your coach, is help you do the work that's needed so that you can go from living in this depleted place and live with intention and joy. And it is my prayer that if this episode has been helpful to you, that you will share it, you will subscribe. I would love to, if you are listening on one of the audio platforms, will you give me a review so I know if this is what you like and you want more of this? If you're watching me on YouTube, give me some comments. Let me know what you think. And don't forget that I have a autopilot inventory or autopilot audit quiz that you can take to determine if maybe you're living on autopilot. And that's over at my website, drphyllishaysreams.com. I'm here for you. So I am going to continue to create content for you so that I can be your coach, so that you can learn to own your yes. I look forward to seeing you next week, be it on YouTube or you listening to me and maybe driving with me as you are driving around. Take a moment, as I always tell you, think about what you're listening to. And this week, I want you to just meditate and be prayerful about and ask yourself the question, are you living authentically? Are you living with transparency? What are your thoughts about being vulnerable? I love you. Again, don't forget to also share because we want to grow this movement. We want to grow our community of resilient Christian women who make the key steps to own their yes. I love you. See you next week. Take care. Bye now.